Welcome back. Lots of three-word transfer reports coming in. Dylan, who's a Swansea fan. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Benjamin, an Arsenal fan. Arsenal strike force. Haven't you got a little stat about Arsenal top scorers that you were just reading on social media?
In the last 5 seasons, they've sold the top goal scorer from the last 5 seasons. They've sold in the last 14 days.
Amazing. Kevin, an angry Newcastle fan. Ashley told lies is what he said. Of course, Newcastle looking to do some business. They've struggled so far. Islam Slimani, though, we believe, has joined Newcastle on loan. He's actually a player that could make a difference for them, isn't he? Brings a bit of pace, a bit of energy.
Yeah, he didn't make much difference for Leicester, but no, he might do.
Okay, so let's put that one to bed. It's also time to welcome everybody watching us live on Facebook and Twitter this evening. Thanks for joining us. We're live with Rio, with Frank and Harry until the transfer window shuts in about 15 minutes' time. Let's go to some of your questions then. Josh Shaw has got in touch on Facebook. With the Mahrez deal now off, and he wasn't involved for Leicester this evening, have Rio, Frank or Harry ever dealt with players who've handed in multiple transfer requests? I mean, there comes a moment, doesn't there, where a player needs to go, Harry. What do you make of that?
Yeah, what kind of, it's right saying, well, he's got to come back in now and play at Leicester. If he's as unhappy as we all hear he is today, it's going to be very difficult. He wants to move, he wants to leave.
But for football fans, you've got a contract, you're very well paid to play for a football club where the owner seems to buy the players a new car every couple of weeks. No one's going to feel sorry for Mahrez.
Listen, he's at a good club. Leicester, Leicester's done, they're playing very well at the moment, they're in good form. But he wants to go to Man City and he hasn't got the move he wanted, and it's not going to be easy, is it? It's 2 years running it's happened to him and he looked like he was going to move.
I think I just wanted him to go once it started going like that. I know you might say you're losing a really good player, but once a player's head starts to go that way, then...
Yeah, I think once a player wants to leave, and, offhand I can't think of too many, but once somebody comes in and says, I want to leave, you're better off, I think, in the end. If you get the money, you get good money from... You're better off at it.
You two, though, you were both leaders for your clubs on the field. Did you not see it as your responsibility just to have a quiet word with a really influential player that wanted to leave and just do your best to keep them at the club?
Yeah, you would. I mean, I remember when Cristiano Ronaldo was mutings of him wanting to go to Real Madrid the first year.
Name drop.
I made it. Yeah, exactly.
And he went.
Match that.
But Rio said, "Can't I come with you?"
Yeah, exactly. Can you get me on the deal? No, but what you do make it your be-all and end-all to go in there and say to them, listen, please at least give us another year. What are you going for? You start reading we can win this, we can do this, we can do that together. Yeah. So you do that because you're like a fan at that time of the club and you want to be successful.
You didn't really do that, no?
No, I didn't go in because I felt like once someone had made their mind up, it was
interesting.
I mean, it depends how close you are with that player. It's a conversation or it isn't. But if any players at Chelsea ever did that, I would sort of lead them to be with
99% of them just look like themselves, Frank, don't they? At the end of the day, you're not going to, it's not your team. You're not going, come on, you're part of our team.
Yeah.
Oh, he wants to go. Somebody else comes in, or somebody else in the dressing room might get his place. That's football.
OK, Ben Northcote has a question for you, Harry. Is it true Benjani fell asleep missing 2 flights, ending a move from Portsmouth to Man City?
No, he didn't fall asleep. He just didn't want to go.
Right.
What happened, I signed Benji, and the first season he came, he played, I think he went 16 games without scoring a goal. He was a striker. And then he got a goal at Wigan to keep us up. I think the ball hit him on the back of the head and went in the goal. It was fantastic. So the following year he came and he did well. I loved him. He worked, he ran, the crowd loved him. He was a fantastic boy. The following season he nicked got a few goals, and suddenly out the blue, Man City came in. Sven-Göran Eriksson was a manager and offered us £9.5 million for him. We paid £3 million. I thought it was what was that programme? You've been had or you've been got? I thought you've been framed. I thought this is the wind-up. £9.5 million. As much as a decent player he was, it was a lot of money for Benji. So I said to Benji, "It's fantastic. You've got to go, Benji." He said, "No, Gaffer, I like this club. I like it here. I like you. I like the club." I went, "No, you have to go." Anyway, we get him at the airport to get the plane. But he's sitting at the airport. Next thing I know, he's not arrived in Manchester. Where's Benji? We get him on the phone. He's still sitting in the airport. He don't want to leave. Mm-hmm. I had to drive to the airport. I ended up dragging him almost. I'm walking along with him, getting him through. There was one late plane.
That's how to make a player feel loved, didn't it?
Well, £9.5 million. It was slightly over.
Yeah. You'd already spent the money, probably, hadn't you?
We had 2 or 3 players coming in that were going to make the difference. So off he went to... we finally got him there, and I think he made the deadline by about 2 minutes. But it was a lot of money for Benji, I must admit.
OK, some breaking news for you. Joe Lolley's left Huddersfield. He's gone to Nottingham Forest, so I saw Karanka already cracking on, doing a few deals. A question from Brian. Judging by the signings made by the teams in the top 6, who is likely to make the top 4? I mean, it's so close and tight there now, isn't it? And we've got, you know, players arriving in all those top teams now. I think Man City are a shoo-in, so we can forget about them.
Yeah. Of course.
Manchester United. Chelsea, Tottenham.
You think so? You think Liverpool miss out?
I do, because I think defensively they still haven't dealt with their weaknesses. Great going forward, but defensively lost Coutinho as well.
I worry about Chelsea a bit, Frank. You know.
Yeah.
I just, you don't go and get beat 3-0 home by Bournemouth tonight. No disrespect to Bournemouth. What a result for them. But that is a bad result. You know, I've looked at them recently, Chelsea. They're not the same team. There's something, that team last year, Conte went on, won the league, fantastic. I think they look to me like they're in a little bit of decline, and I would worry about Chelsea making the top 4 at the moment.
Give us your top 4.
I'll go Man City, Man United, Spurs. I think I'll put Chelsea in. I think the Hazard effect, I think if he continues to perform, if he still stays fit, I think he carries them into the top 4.
You again think Liverpool will slip out the top 4?
Yeah, I do. I think defensively, like Frank said, goalkeeper. Defensively, I don't think they're strong enough yet at the moment. Going forward, they're fantastic, great to watch, but I just think they won't have enough defensively to stop them.
I think you take Hazard out of that team, though.
Yeah.
If he picked up an injury, and I hope he doesn't.
They finished 7th.
I agree with that.
They'd be banging trouble.
And Morata needs to come back and score goals as well.
He does.
Get fit.
OK, loads of questions coming in from people watching us on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks very much for getting involved in the show. We do this after every Premier League game on a Saturday night for a full hour. This is a little transfer window special. And there's a quick question now for you, Rio. Have a listen.
Hi Rio. What I wanted to ask is what it's like as a player when your team's involved in a big transfer that's going to the wire. Maybe sat wondering if this player is going to be your teammate or not when this goes to when this is all done. I think the one that springs to mind is Dimitar Berbatov, because as I'm sure you remember, that went right to the end, right to the late hours. And you know, are you sat watching it with the fans and hoping, or have you got, you know, are you getting information as to what's happening backstage? Yeah, good to get your thoughts.
Yeah, we're like fans at that stage. You finish training, you fly into the canteen, it's up on the screen, who's coming in, who's not. You got your phone on, you're asking everyone at the club who you feel's got influence on signings. Are we signing him, the chief executive? You're getting, if he comes in the building, you're asking him, are we getting him? The doctor's the most important man at this stage, because the club doctor's doing the medical. So if you've got him on speed dial, you're going to know who's coming in and out. So that's what I was always on him the whole time. So he was probably, his phone was the hottest at that point in time in the transfer deadline. But yeah, you want players to come in and inspire the changing room, and Berbatov was one of them. Fantastic goal scorer, great footballer, and what it does, as I said, it does make the whole change room a better place once a player comes in of that quality.
Yeah, we had Torres came, and we were very excited about that. That was the first. That's the only time I can really remember being that like a fan, excited, thinking the difference he could make to us as a team.
Is it difficult as a manager, because particularly when you sign a player on transfer deadline day, you're doing it because that player needs to come in mid-season and have a real impact? I mean, there must be, I suppose, signings where your heart leaps when you see how good they are on the training pitch, but equally your heart sinks sometimes when you've invested a lot of money into one player and you just suddenly think, oh man, this guy's not going to do the job I want.
Of course, I mean, some of them come off, some don't. It's a difficult time to, you know, it's not an ideal time to be making signings in January, you know, and some clubs, you know, maybe it's great when you just need maybe one player that can make the difference, and you can go and get that player and you pull that deal off. But it's nice when you've got a good team. When you're struggling, you've got to go and get 6 or 7 in, or 5 or 6. It's.
Remember at West Ham when you got Paul Kitson and John Hartson? Yeah,
Kitson, they come in and turned it. We were short to get relegated that year, you know, and them two came in and changed everything, didn't they? They were fantastic together.
Dave on Twitter has said, have you contacted Nico Cranchard in this window, just for old time's sake?
Yeah, what I've done with Nico, I haven't got a club anymore, but I'm going to start a Sunday morning team.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to your first signing?
I'm going to get him in, yeah. But by the way, he was a good player. Yeah. I had him at Tottenham, and him and Modric and people like that, he could play, Nico. And he's a great lad, and he's playing well at Rangers at the moment.
Here's a question from Mark. Hi, Mark. Thanks for getting in touch with us. What's it like when the club signs a player that also plays in the same position as you? I suppose as much as you want good players coming in, you don't want good players coming in threatening your place in the team, do you?
It's never happened to these two. It's never happened. They wouldn't know what that is.
Being threatened.
No, it did happen at Chelsea when Abramovich first came and he bought 2 or 3 midfielders, maybe even more.
And soon saw them off.
You were, I did see them. Thanks, Harry. But no, you do. It's a test of yourself, and you have a moment where you go, oh no, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, what can I do about this? And then when you see they're not so good in training, you're like, yeah, but I'll add this one.
But that's the thing with like Lacazette now at Arsenal. They've bought Aubameyang.
Yeah.
Lacazette was a big name signing. How's he going to react? It's all about the mentality. Have you got the character now to take that challenge on? And we'll see.
And as a manager, what you want is those players to step up, isn't it? That's the.
Or will he
it's a
be
telltale
bold,
sign.
Rio? And will he play two up there and go and stick the two of them up there as a pair?
And then what's he do with Mkhitaryan and Ozil? That's the problem again.
It's a problem.
He has given himself problems, but good problems, I suppose.
Yeah.
And when Abramovich started doing that and you were there and you're thinking, hold on, there's some midfielders coming in, did you go and see the manager? Did you go and say, or was it just a case of, right, I'm going to train harder, play better?
It's not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility. The club buys a player that the manager has chosen that player. Your responsibility is to up your game if needs be, or show what you can do, whether you can play alongside someone or in front of them. I had it a few times. You get a good feeling when you do hold your ground as well. You need that test in your career because you have the moments actually where maybe you are a little bit comfortable and all of a sudden someone comes in as you're getting a little bit older and you look over his shoulder and it makes
Do you remember that as well, when actually you started seeing good players?
I had that as well, sorry, Lamps. I had that. Phil Jones and Chris Smalling were brought in. 16 million, 12 million at the time was a lot of money for two young centre-halves. And obviously people were talking about me being a bit over the hill, had a few injuries at that point. And that's where it's either you roll your sleeves up and you fight, or you say, you know what, actually I'll throw the towel in and I'm going to make my headway somewhere else at a different club and make that move. And I saw it as a challenge and thought, right, I'll meet that head on. And that's when you start thinking to yourself, back as a kid, I've worked hard to get here, I need to work even harder to stay here. You start doing extra training, going back to the old basics that got you there and made sure you stayed there.
You look here tonight, you look at this Tottenham team, they've got cover in every position now. They've got, great cover in both full-back positions, centre-half, midfield now, up front. There's options everywhere, and you need that if you're going to be challenging for titles, especially.
Yeah. OK, there's only 1 minute left now of the transfer window. Let's have a quick look, Harry, at some of your signings over the years. I suppose, you kind of got this reputation. I remember one time you being interviewed and one of the reporters deigned to say that you were a sort of a wheeler dealer, and that frustrated you, didn't it? That wasn't a sort of tag that you felt comfortable with.
No, because I was always them players there. They came in because I was at clubs that needed players. At Portsmouth, I had to bring players in. I'd gone back there. I'd left the club, left a good team behind. I went to Southampton, went back to Portsmouth, and suddenly all the good players had gone, and I needed a team. We were stuck at the bottom of the league, cut adrift, and I bought 5 or 6 players in that all did great. Off we went. We ended up staying up. So sometimes You've got to have a go and dabble in the transfer market. OK. There is 10 seconds left of the transfer window. It's probably a good time to talk about the future of the transfer window. Is it something that you enjoy? Do you think it adds to football? Do you think it's a good thing?
I like it. I do like it, I have to say. People seem to be on the other side of the fence of this, but I think we all enjoy it. You see the attention that it gets now. Managers might give you a different story, Harry. I don't know, but I think halfway through the season, maybe you need a pitch. It's easy for Man City with a squad full of... Harry, if you're fighting at the bottom and you get a couple of injuries, you need that.
You need players, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it's whether they leave it open all year and you go back to the old system. But the fans like it, people like it. They all get excited today. They look forward to it. So, and the game belongs to the people at the end of the day, and it's...
It's going to be interesting, actually, to see what happens at the start of next season because of the way things are working. The transfer window is going to shut before the season gets going, and there's often calls from managers for that when the season starts, isn't it? Yeah. Know what you've got when it gets going.
Yeah, and as a player, you want the business all done before you go back to pre-season even, let alone the season starting. So, as a player, I'd be happy with that, but as a fan, I'd like the window to be open for the summers at the moment how we have it now. And then the one we get in January, I love it. As a fan, you sit there and watch it all unfold. It's brilliant.
OK, well, obviously, the big deals were already done. There was no big breaking news this evening, but it was worthwhile sticking around just in case we got a little headline. The bad news for Rio is he gets the next 2 hours to complete our paperwork while we all go and have a drink in the bar. Right, BT Sports Score is back Saturday at 2:45. Arsenal against Everton, including one of those big new signings performing for Arsenal, of course, and also for Everton. They took Theo earlier in the window, so he goes back to Arsenal for the first time. The usual Premier League tonight gets going from 8 o'clock. And then on the 10th of February, we've got Tottenham against Arsenal, the North London derby. That one's a 12:30 kick-off. The following day, Huddersfield against Bournemouth. Gents, thanks for your company tonight. A fantastic performance this evening by Spurs.